So hello and welcome to our virtual career expo featuring skilled and technical trades. I'm Tina Chace. I'm the Director of Business Development for the Lee Summit Economic Development Council. We're happy to facilitate this event in coordination with Herndon Career Center and Southland CAPS. This hour focuses on careers in the manufacturing industry. We are joined here today by three professionals from that manufacturing industry. Two are local to Lee Summit, specifically one supports and educates manufacturing across the state. So I'd like to introduce to you today Azani Fitten. She's a human resource recruiter with Polytainers. Hello, Azani. Mr. Curtis Mullen is an area business manager with Missouri Enterprise. And Daniel Foulk, assembly group lead for Billy Goat Industries or Briggs & Stratton. So hello, Daniel.
Hi.
So before we get started, again, I'd like to reiterate for those of you who have joined us as an attendee today, feel free to chime in through the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Alyssa will be popping in here pretty soon. She works with me and she's going to help us facilitate some of those questions. The event is intended to give you all information to better understand the benefits in choosing a career in the manufacturing sector. So really no question is a dumb question. So feel free to put those in there and we'll get right to it. So let's get started. First, I'd like to get to know the panelists and the companies that they work for a little bit better. So Azani, let's start with you. Tell me a little bit about your company, what you produce or what you do, who are some of your customers, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Azani Fitten. I'm the recruiter here at Polytainers. We are actually a Canadian-owned plastic manufacturing company. So we make plastic food containers for the food and dairy industry, primarily for the dairy industry. So I just had a yogurt this morning. So yogurt containers or cream cheese containers, things like that that you may see on the store in a grocery store, that is pretty much what we make. We make about 4 billion units per year. And we have two facilities. So we have our headquarters, which is in Toronto, Canada. And then we have our Lee Summit facility here in Lee Summit. There's close to 300 or so people who work here. So we use multiple different types of processes, but the main ones that we use are going to be injection molding, thermoforming, and dry offset printing. And we can talk more about that if you guys have questions on any of those processes later. But that is pretty much what we do.
Perfect. Wonderful. Daniel, what about you? Tell us a little bit about Billy Goat.
So Billy Goat builds commercial grade lawn care equipment, a lot of leaf vacuums, aerators, brush cutters, pretty much anything to aerate your yard, clean your yard up. The one thing we don't build that you would think we probably would build is actually lawn mowers. We don't actually build any actual lawn mowers. We too are located in Lee Summit. We're a company of about 120 people. We have 3 buildings. Our headquarters is in Lee Summit, our manufacturing plants here in Lee Summit. And then right down by the football and baseball stadiums, right across the highway, we have our storage for all our finished products down at the old Leeds plant. But we support Lowe's, sells a little bit of our product, but we mainly sell to distribution centers who then, different rental companies and like lawn care professionals buy the majority of our stuff. It's not really for your average homeowner.
That's a good point. Wonderful. So Curtis, your business supports these types of businesses, right? So explain a little bit about what your organization does.
Well, thank you very much, Tina. Yeah. Again, my name is Curtis Mullen. I'm with Missouri Enterprise. Missouri Enterprise is part of the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. So there's one of us in each state plus Puerto Rico. And the goal of each of the organizations is to assist manufacturers within that respective state. So within Missouri, we assist manufacturers and we assist them in 5 key areas: business development, continuous improvement, workforce, sustainability, and supply chain management. All the things that how we can assist a manufacturing company either by growing their revenue or reducing costs of the organization. And on the workforce side, it's leadership, supervisor training, safety, and then all those things from the employee side, really tactical, and then all the way up to strategic vision as well.
Yeah, so it's really support services for growth, right? But it's very specific. So like my role is the same, but I focus on companies in the Lee Summit community to provide support services for growth and workforce, where you're very specific to manufacturing sector.
Correct,
type
but
companies. Yeah.
and people think manufacturing is the Ford plant in Claycomo. Yes, that is a manufacturer, but it's also the individual who grows some tomatoes and makes salsa, because they're adding value to the tomatoes. So it's food manufacturing is a very big sector within the state of Missouri, as well as other traditional forms of manufacturing. You get somebody who makes cheese, somebody who makes barbecue sauce, anything that you're adding value to the original component is considered a manufacturer.
Ah, that's a great way to put it. I guess I never really thought about it that way. Great. Okay, so Daniel, tell us about some of the different positions in your company.
So we do a lot of in-house making of our own parts. So we have people that bend our metal. We have people that cut our metal. We have welders. We paint a lot of our own parts. You have to have material handlers to, of course, move all that stuff around the plants. Then, of course, the assemblers. We have people that specify in just boxing of the finished goods. I mean, there's a ton. Of course, you have your sales teams, your HR, everyone else inside house. But yeah, we have 3 main departments: our weld and fab department, paint, and assembly.
Okay, so you're getting the pieces in, right? And putting them together, and then sometimes fabricating some of the pieces.
Yes.
Sounds like, yep. And then putting it all together for a finished product and shipping it out, right?
Yeah, we bring in, we stamp all the holes in a lot of our handles ourselves. Like I said, we bend the handles ourselves, and then they go to another department where if they need parts welded onto them, we have 8 different welders. We have a couple welding robots that you have to, know how to work and program. And then, of course, once it's done up all that, once it's done for back shop, then everything goes to our paint department. Billy Goat mainly only paints in green and black, so thankfully it's pretty simple. Yeah. Then once everything's finally painted, it finally starts making its way down to the assembly lines, where that's where I mainly work, putting the machines together. I do a lot of the training for our new employees and show people how to build it, use tools, all that stuff.
Yeah, that would be one of my other questions is like, what kind of technology do you use and technology and tools do you use?
We still use mainly just hand tools, a lot of battery powered impacts and drills, ratchets, wrenches. We're pretty hands-on still. On the assembly side, we really have no robots. We do have some lifts for anything that's heavy to pick parts up and move, but the back shop's the only side that has any of the robots. They have a machine that'll mill out a lot of our bars. Like I said, the 3 welding robots. But when you think manufacturing, I think everyone always thinks of Ford and Chevy and all that stuff, where you at one little spot and put like 2 or 3 things on and that's it. At Billy Goat, we have some machines where you're spending 3, maybe 4 hours putting all kinds of different stuff together on it. We have a very wide range of machines we build here. We build little vacuums, which we build 40 of in a day. It's where we go to this machine that we call Voyager. It's a great big stand-on spreader sprayer machine. With 8 people, we only build 3 of them a day. So it's very, very hands-on here.
Yeah, it's kind of unique. I like that. Now, are you working off of a set of plans then?
Yes.
Is it important to be able to read those?
Yes, we do have work order instructions, and we do have a process book to follow. So you need to know how to read a graft. Of course, reading, a little bit of math sometimes helps. But I said, yeah, as long as you can read a graft and read, you can pretty much build most of the stuff here. And then I come around and help with like the little details that aren't in the process book, of course.
Right. Yeah, right. That you gain experience as you do, right?
Yes.
With that hands-on phase. So Azani, what about Polytainers? Tell us a little bit about the different types of jobs that are within Polytainers.
Okay, sure. So we have a wide spectrum of jobs. So I'll start kind of from the entry level side. So again, what we do, we make plastic food containers. So like yogurt, butter containers, things like that. So on the more entry level side, we have like packers and material handlers. These are the people who are taking these containers off the machine, inspecting them, packing them, and then moving them in the boxes to the warehouse. When you start to move up, then you can start working directly on the machines. So this would be like machine operators. So these are people who, as the machine is running, if if the machine stops working, or maybe our product isn't coming out looking correct, they will troubleshoot the machine to fix it. Then you kind of move into our maintenance department. Maintenance department is fixing and repairs. So this is the team who is fixing any of our machines and preparing them to begin producing our plastic containers. And then you kind of move up from there, and we do have cell lead positions, we have training positions, we have supervisor positions, and all these types of roles are across 3 different departments. So we have our molding department, which is our main and biggest department. This is the department that molds the container and actually makes the physical container. Then we have our printing department. For some of our products, they actually go to our printing department and we print the labels on them for some of them. So our printing department has more tenured employees, but has the same type of roles with maintenance and more entry-level roles. And then we have our warehouse who ships everything out. So really we have a wide variety of positions, but most of them fall into our molding department. And we tend to, there's always a need for more like people who can repair, do maintenance, troubleshoot. That is where the bulk of our positions are, in addition to our entry-level roles like a packer. So that kind of gives you an overview.
Yeah, I like that. So now, Curtis, you're kind of my big picture guy, if you will, for manufacturing. So, based off of your experience in working with multiple types of manufacturers, can you tell the kids a little bit about some of those positions within manufacturing?
Yeah, as Azani was mentioning, as well as Daniel, there are a variety of skill sets that are needed, and whether you have the entry level positions that Azani described in great detail, to as you evolve, the education that requires to go into that step is also increases. But as to be a maintenance individual with Azani within Polytainers, you have to have that experience. Some of it's on the job training, but also if you had a post-secondary education at an institution. So if you went to Metropolitan Community College and got that education that way, if you also went to a university and attained your education that way. But there are a variety within our organization itself. We have a sales team, so you need a degree to be able to understand business, be able to talk to business owners or decision makers in their language. And then we have facilitators who actually do the training. So you need training in the various safety programs that OSHA requires, or if your client has quality aspects that need to ensure their quality every time, you need training to become ISO certified. And then how can a manufacturer produce items as efficiently as possible? That's called lean training. So are you becoming a lean expert? So you'll need to, if you want to specialize and assist your company, there are different areas which you can focus on, find the one that is best for you. So that way you can continue to grow within the organization and grow professionally as well.
Yeah. So later on, we'll kind of go through that education training piece here. But I really like that, several of you have different personal perspectives, as it relates to manufacturing industry, right? And it's really kind of all different different levels. So Daniel, explain what it is like day to day in your job. So I would like to preface this by, we had some pre-questions sent to us by students, and some of these questions that they had asked us really revolved around, what does your day job look like, right? So some of the questions, I'll read these to you. Do you do the same thing every day? What is the environment like? Is it safe, loud, dirty? And is it high pressure job, or is it really kind of relaxed?
So our day at Billy Goat starts, the back shop starts an hour before assembly, just so they can get some of the stuff through, just in case we need something first thing in the morning, they can have it done. They start at 5 a.m. Assembly starts at 6 a.m. Normally we have a quick little meeting in the morning. We assign, we have lines set up at Billy Goat, so everyone has a different line they go to and build on. We normally build with about 3 people on a line. They'll build one machine together. We run up to 5 to 6 lines during the day shift. So once we get everyone lined out where they're going, any new employees or anyone who's going to a new machine that's never built it before, I'll take them and go down and train them on their position. Once training's done, I normally run around, do quality control, help, you know, speed up a line if it's slow. I'll jump in and, you know, show some of our new employees little tricks I've learned over the 11 years of working here, how to make the job easier. You know, we break tools, we lose tools all the time. I have to go replace tools all the time for people. It is pretty dusty here. I would say that's the one benefit of COVID, is now wearing the mask. I go home and I don't have, you know, all the dust I'm breathing in. It's not very loud at Billy Goat. We're underneath the levels where you have to wear ear protection. We have it available if you want it, but thankfully it's not loud enough here where it causes any permanent hearing damage. We do have some radios on the line so people can listen to music while they're working. They're allowed small drinks and, you know, a snack if they want it out there. We try not to have anything too big, just to keep the area somewhat clean. It can be high pressured at times because we do have orders we have to ship, and we have to have them done at a certain time to, you know, get them to our distributor. So there are times where we have to get on people that, you know, to pick up the pace. We work 10-hour days, so we have Fridays off, which is nice. But in our busy season, we do work a lot of overtime, so we do work a lot of, probably 50% of Fridays we do work in some capacity. We don't maybe do a full day, but that's kind of the daily side of assembly.
Yeah, thank you. So Azani, can you kind of give us a high level about what that's like at Polytainers? Is that a little different?
Yeah, so day to day at Polytainers, in any given role for someone who works out on the floor, they come in, they're either working the 8-hour shift if they're in printing, or a 12-hour shift. That is one thing that's unique with the manufacturing industry, is that the hours tend to be a little bit different. So some people work overnight, some people work during the day, and some people work longer 12-hour shifts, but less days. So when someone comes in, the first thing they do, they go to the locker room and put on their safety gear, what we call PPE, personal protective equipment. So they wear a smock. Since we work in the food industry, we also wear a hairnet, earplugs, because it is a little bit loud out on the floor. And then they go to the supervisor's office, and there's a schedule that kind of shows them where they're supposed to be at. So they go to their assigned machines for that day, and then they begin working. So if they're in maintenance, they may be hands-on repairing a machine that from the last shift that didn't get repaired. Or if they're a packer, they may start by, you know, starting to pack the machines. It's definitely, you're on your feet. It's very fast paced. It also is more of a high pressure environment. So there's not much downtime, I can say. So you're definitely moving around, and you're on your feet for pretty much the whole shift. And then of course you have the breaks in between as well. So that's kind of what the day-to-day looks like. There's an assignment that kind of, or a sheet that kind of tells you what you're assigned to for the shift. And then you go and complete those tasks based off of what is needed for each shift.
Great. So Curtis, I'm going to throw you a different question.
Oh, thank you.
So tell me, like, what kind of skill sets are most important to have in the manufacturing industry?
That's one thing within the manufacturing sector. It's so broad, and whether it's whether you're an entry level position and you're just coming and doing you're packing a box for the items that are coming off the assembly line, to you're working on on the maintenance of equipment, so you need to be trained on that specific type of equipment, to having, if your client is, you need sale. That's one thing about manufacturing. All types of training is required. So whether you're on the sales side and you need sales training, whether you're in the accounting department, you need an accounting or bookkeeping and that background. And if you are producing items for the Defense Department or NASA, you need to have that technical knowledge. But more importantly, you need to have cybersecurity, because they have specific cybersecurity requirements if those are your end clients. And then if you are working in other sectors, you need the training that safety. You need to have a specific safety training, so that way the members of your team and within your company meet and exceed the requirements from OSHA. So all types of training are necessary within a manufacturing environment. And that's one of the things that are very enjoyable for the companies that I work with, is that we're able to assist them on all those different areas. So that way we can assist them to produce things more efficiently, to be more safe and improve their quality. So you need all that type of training within manufacturers.
Yeah. So Azani, as someone who recruits individuals for the industry, explain the difference in what is required for someone seeking entry level versus maybe middle management or a very skilled position. So is there certain qualities you're looking for on entry level when you're going through that?
So I'd say one of the biggest things, I am an advocate of this in my personal life and professional life. I think one of the biggest things that will always set you apart from other people has nothing to do with like technical skill. I firmly believe that when you have good character and you're reliable, those are things that, believe it or not, can be difficult to find. So being a person who has good character, who shows up, who works hard, and who's there when you're supposed to be there, those are the people who I see get promoted over those who are more technically skilled. Someone who you know is teachable and has good character and is willing to learn, but you know they're going to show up to work. Those are the type of people who you see move into management, because those are the qualities that you need as a manager. You know, you have to be reliable, you have to be able to work with people and have that good character. So for more entry-level roles, we look for people who who can adapt to the environment. So for one of our departments, we have 12-hour shifts. We know that's not going to work for everyone, being on your feet for 12 hours. So we're looking for people who can handle that type of work. And then people who are reliable and have that good character. Once you kind of move up, then more technical skills becomes important. But once you get into more leadership roles, so say you're going to be a leader, a team lead, or a trainer, or a supervisor, that's when we're really looking for those people skills. Individuals who work well with people, are patient, are kind, and who are a good example of what someone is supposed to be like. So in manufacturing, technical skills are important. But even more so, I think if you start by developing your character and your work ethic, especially when you're younger, that is what's going to position you to be very successful in a career in manufacturing, because you can learn the machines. That's easy. Anyone can learn that. But work ethic sometimes can't be taught. So that's kind of what I would say.
I love that. Yeah. And I see Daniel just nodding his head. He's like, yeah. Tell me what you would add to that.
Yeah, that's a lot similar to Billy Goat. Yeah, work ethic, actually showing up on time are some of the biggest things. Same thing here. We can teach you how to use tools and how to build the machines, But if you don't have the drive and the motivation, you can have all the knowledge in the world and it's worthless, basically. Like I said, we get a vast amount of people in here with some, have great knowledge of tools and manufacturing, but they don't have the right attitude or the work ethic. Like you said, those people either normally quit or fall out somewhere along the line. The people that show up and do try, like I said, we can teach you. Some of our best employees have actually come from like fast food. Even though they've never built machines, they've done a lot of work with their hands and they're used to a fast-paced environment. So like I said, once they learn how to use all the hand tools we have, they've actually become some of our better employees and they show up on time.
Oh, that's a great point. I never really thought about that, Daniel, because there's that customer service aspect too, right? And so they're used to treating people in a certain manner. Customer's always right. So hopefully they're utilizing that same mindset with their peers, right?
And same thing like fast food, fast food's turned into basically it's manufacturing too. It's an assembly line process, a lot of them are, and that's kind of what we have. So those skill sets switch over perfectly to entry-level positions at Billy Goat, building machines, because you're working with people, you have to be able to communicate with your team. And just patience is a big one here too. We have 20 different machines we build. Every machine we build has probably 5 or 6 different models, so there's little things on all of them. So you just have to have the patience to learn everything. And I'd also add, that slow down and make sure you're building it right. It's the biggest one. We got a lot of people that come in, especially young kids, that want to just fly through it as fast as possible, get it done, get it out. Well, they don't pay attention to the quality side of it. Doesn't matter if you build 100 units, if they're bad, you got to bring them back and fix them. You only build 60, but get them built right, sometimes faster to, take that extra minute. Make sure you're doing it right instead of just shoving it down the line to the next person.
Yeah. And so it sounds like for you with Billy Goat, it's about a 50-50, right? Like you want those, attributes with character and showing up on time and the work ethic, but you could also use somebody who at least has maybe used a hammer or a wrench or maybe understands putting things together.
Yeah, if you put some furniture together, if you bought some IKEA furniture and put it together before, you can come in and we can get you started on the easy machines here. Like I said, some of our bigger machines, we try to work you up to those. Those take a little bit more skill, like more mechanical inclined skills.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing that, if someone in high school maybe isn't sure about what they want to do, right? So in the next phase of their education, that manufacturing is a good option to get into, to maybe try out manufacturing industry. And then a lot of it can be hands-on. You can work your way up. Can you tell me, Curtis, maybe from there, do you see a lot of manufacturer companies maybe put individuals through additional education and maybe pay for that? Is that necessary?
That's multiple steps. There's multiple answers to that question, Tina. Some manufacturers that are small, if they're a 10-person firm, they might not have a career. They might not have an education, a personal development budget within their organization. But larger organizations tend to have personal development budgets within, and you work with your immediate supervisor. Say, I would like to have more training on this topic, and usually, as long as it's related to what you want to do, then yes, they will pay for that. But you have to attain a certain grade to receive that reimbursement. But in addition to having the character of showing up on time and working, integrity is a big part of what companies are looking for. And as you get promoted for a team lead or a supervisor, that's when soft skills training can be. And what I mean by soft skills is having some empathy for your employees, having a better understanding, and being able to not only have motivating yourself, but also you also have the ability to work with people on your team and help them be motivated as well, and be a good listener to them. And you have 2 years to listen to your employees and how you can better understand them, what their needs are to help them be successful. A good supervisor coaches people to take their position, and so that way you can be promoted as well. And a lot of people don't realize that, but that's what a good leader does.
I love that. So I'd like to remind everybody that's on the call, if you have any questions for any of the panelists or in general about the manufacturing industry, feel free to click on the Q&A and we'd be happy to answer those. We did have some pre-questions that were submitted, and these have to do with salary. So Azani, we might start with you, being though you're kind of more HR. So what kind of salary can you expect to make in this field, kind of as entry level? The specific questions that were asked are, how do benefits fit into it? How are raises figured into your pay as you kind of move up? Does it have to do with staying, being there longer or performing better? And then the difference between hourly and salary. And then it says, what are you looking to hire, or when you're looking to hire an employee, what are you looking for? Those were the 4 questions.
Cool. I'll tackle as many as I can here.
Yeah.
So I'll start here. So in manufacturing, if you're working on the production floor, like with the machines, more than likely you are considered an hourly employee unless you are a supervisor. What that means is that you get paid per hour. So if you put in 30 hours for the week, you're getting paid 30 hours worth of pay. Or if you put in 60 hours, hopefully you wouldn't work that much, but if you put in 60 hours, you would get paid 60 hours worth of pay. That is what an hourly employee is. On the other hand, a salary employee is someone who has a base salary that they have, and regardless how many hours they work, so maybe they work 1 less hour 1 week and then 1 additional hour the next week, their pay is always going to remain the same. So most manufacturing roles, unless you get to a supervisor level, is going to be hourly, which is good. So that means that if you work extra hours for some reason, you're getting paid extra for it. So pay and salary, it's so difficult because it truly varies from company to company and industry to industry. So what I can say is that when you're looking at different companies that you're interested in, some of the things you might consider is the size of the company, whether it's a private owned company or a public owned company. If it's a smaller company, they may have smaller salaries. Typically larger companies tend to have more like higher salaries. So it all tends to vary. So for an entry level role in manufacturing in this area, I would say maybe between 13, 14 to 16, 17 an hour, depending on the company. Most companies, you can typically move up pretty quickly in manufacturing if you are in an entry level role. So that is the good news. At our company, we do have a pay scale. So basically when you start in an entry level role, you get a raise every 3, 6, 9, or 12 months, or all of the above. So we set that up to keep people motivated so that they feel valued and so that their pay is increasing along the line. But again, it's difficult to say just because it varies from company to company. So, and then there was one other question that asked, what am I looking for? So I love the fact that Daniel brought up fast food because when I first started hiring for manufacturing jobs, I kind of tended to look at only people who had some type of similar experience, maybe construction, or maybe they have worked in manufacturing. But rather than thinking about the type of machine you're working on, think about what you will be doing on the job. So we know that a packer is taking things off the machine and putting them in containers. So they're on their feet, it's fast paced, They have to keep up with the machine and they're using their hands. So when I'm looking at someone, I'm looking at, does what they've done, whether it's in manufacturing or not, does it translate to this type of position? Even if it's fast food, like Daniel said, you're still using your hands, packing things, you're on your feet, it's fast paced. And sometimes you may have to work a 12-hour shift in fast food sometimes. So those are the type of things that I'm looking for, along with character and reliability. So I also just want to add, if you're coming out of high school or into a more entry-level role, you may not have work experience yet, and that's okay. When you're filling out job applications, if there are any things that you have done outside of the actual job where you are making money, you can include that on your application. So if you held leadership roles, or you volunteered, or even if you helped with the family business, those are all things that you could include. And it's all about how you sell yourself once you talk to someone. So if you don't have experience, it doesn't automatically count you out. So those are my thoughts.
That's a great point. Daniel, tell me a little bit, answering the same types of questions. Is her salary range pretty accurate for you guys? And, I think the salary versus hourly is going to be a universal synopsis, but tell us a little bit about how that works at Billy Goat.
Yeah, her range is pretty close. Of course, our welders or material handlers get paid a little bit more than our entry level assembler, just because they have to have some skill sets. You have to know how to drive a fork truck. You have to know how to weld. So they start out a little higher. Our assembly department starts out around $14.25 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
To help keep our people motivated, we have different levels of assembly you can test into to get a higher pay. So when you come in, you start out as assembly level 1, and you can move all the way up to level 4. If you're a motivated person, you can do it in about a year and a half. And it's about $1 raise for every level you level up. And then once a year, we have annual reviews where, you get a review based on your quality of work, quantity of work, attitude, attendance. They factor all that in and get a percentage, and then you get a % raise every year. So if you show up and you do a good job, you get a bigger raise than, someone who doesn't. We do have a bonus structure at Billy Goat. We have 4 different bonuses you can earn on a quarterly basis. One of them is just an attendance bonus. So
Nice.
You're allowed to miss or be late 1 day out of a 3-month period, and you get bonus. Now, if you take any PTO off, planned time off, that doesn't count against your bonus. We have a quality bonus. So as long as we build the machines right, and it's on a sliding scale, so we can, same thing with our effectivity bonus or our quantity bonus. And then we also have a safety bonus, which you would think it would be on people getting hurt, but it's actually on safety suggestions. Billy Goat, we normally don't have very many major injuries, a few cuts and bruises here and there, but most of our injuries are actually muscle strains from picking stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
So we've this last year been really hitting it hard on the safety suggestions, trying to get more ergonomical here. So as long as we put in a certain amount of safety suggestions every quarter, we get a bonus for that too.
Great. All right. So I guess my question would be, if there's an individual who's interested in manufacturing, but let's say their parents want them to go to college for a couple years. Let's say they're in Missouri, they get their A+ money and they're going to go to MCC for 2 years. What is the benefit for them to do that? And then in turn coming into manufacturing or in one of your companies? Curtis, do you want to?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Tina, in that because manufacturing, you have a whole wide scale of opportunities within an organization. So you went to went to, whether it's Metropolitan Community College or you went to Missouri S&T in Rolla, there are manufacturing companies that can use your skill set. And if you specialize in cybersecurity, that could be a technology side of a manufacturing company is very key, because that a lot of times they have proprietary information they don't want to get into their competitors' hands. So you have to be able to protect that information in-house. And you can become on the technology side, and those salaries are and those that income there can be quite substantial. If you are if that is not what you want to do, but you want to become all the types of engineers that are within an organization, that could be, and Daniel mentioned, if you want to specialize in ergonomics, that can be very helpful on an organization. Safety, if you want to become a safety manager, those there's a variety of trainings you can have on a safety side. So whether it be forklift training, being able to assist a company on arc flash, all the variety of safety trainings that you can lead a company out. And as Azani mentioned, can be some more opportunities with a larger company. You can be a safety director. So there's and if you had sales or accounting, all those different backgrounds can be a manufacturer will need, and the compensation obviously would vary, depend on the sector. But as Azani mentioned, and as well as Daniel, you can, if you work right out of high school, you're $11 to $15 an hour, and if you had the more specialized your education, you can make well into six figures.
Yeah, I love that. So with that being said, Daniel and Azani, are you interested in working with students who maybe are going to college? Can they come back and maybe work the summer with you, learning some of that entry-level hands-on pieces, then go back to school, so that they're like working and learning at the same time?
Yes.
I'll let Sonny go. If you want to go first.
I was going to say yes, absolutely. So we would definitely encourage, anyone who maybe they want to get a feel of what it's actually like working in manufacturing. If you have time over the summer, definitely, apply for a position. We also are kicking off a apprenticeship program in partnership with MCC, Metropolitan Community College. That hopefully will be kicking off in the next couple of months, but that is specifically for people to get hands-on experience while they are getting an education. So basically you would start one of the programs at Metropolitan Community College, and then as you are taking classes, you are also working a certain number of hours at our company. And so that is a way to get hands-on experience as well. It is completely paid, of course, so that by the end of the program, your educational program, you have all the educational experience, but then you also have a couple of years of experience under your belt as well. So that is another tool that we use to help people who are in school get the training that they need on the job.
I love that. Daniel?
Yes. The assembly side, if you want to come work for the summer, we're always needing entry-level assemblers. Summer's always our busy time. So, I mean, if you didn't work for the summer and then, took the 9 months off, went back to school, we'd probably rehire you the next summer. We do a lot of internships for our engineering department, sales and accounting at that interns the last couple of years too. So we always have intern opportunities at Billy Goat.
Great.
I should also mention, there's one other thing I thought of, and you had asked about benefits. I do want to say one thing about the manufacturing industry is that a lot of, or at least some manufacturing companies outsource their hiring. So basically, if you're looking into a company, you definitely want to look into benefits and what they offer, and know whether you're getting hired onto the company or whether you're working through an agency. For most of our positions here, we tend to hire everyone full on to the company. So what that means is everyone who gets hired is eligible for benefits. So medical benefits, dental insurance, vision insurance, life insurance, 401k, but not every company offers that. So I know that, oftentimes when you're looking at a job, you look at only the salary and how much they're going to pay. but you also want to look at benefits and the cost of benefits. Because if you plan to get on your own medical insurance plan, for example, if the cost of that is really high, that could influence how much money you're actually taking home, because your medical insurance costs are taken out of your paycheck. So those are things that you'll want to consider as well before making a decision on a company.
Yeah, great point.
And Billy Goat, just this last year through the pandemic, we've mainly been doing a lot more hiring through temp agencies. Once the people work their 510 hours for the temp agency, we do hire a majority of them on full time and give them benefits also.
We can hire senior.
But we do hire straight off the street, sometimes full time too. And with one of the temp agencies we work through, we can actually hire you sooner, so you don't have to work the full like 3 months normally before you can become full time.
Yeah. So there's lots of options. I like that. Yeah. Okay. So here's a couple questions I have. So how can students get connected to your industry or your specific company while they're still in high school? If they just want to, you know, maybe do a job shadow day, or maybe they do want to work in the summer. It could be just understanding manufacturing in general to see if that is something that they want to use, you know, to further their education with.
I know the last year has been different for everyone.
Agreed.
We used to do a lot of walkthroughs. We used to have a lot of, you know, Joe Herndon Technical School would walk through a lot here. Some of the high school shop classes would walk through a lot. Hopefully we can get back to doing that again. Really, Billy Goat, if you want an entry level position, once you turn 18, you can apply. Like I said, the summer would be great. Come in, you get 3 months of experience, figure out maybe what you want to do. You know, if you want to do engineering, if you want to do quality control, if you want to go more on the leadership side and be a supervisor, that way you can target your schooling for the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say similar to us, you do have to be 18 years old to have a position here. And so if someone was interested in kind of learning more in high school, I would say, I mean, reach out directly. And, you know, we do have certain guidelines on who we can bring into the facility just because of our safety requirements. But, you know, anyone can reach out to me directly, and maybe there's a group of people I could get scheduled to talk to more in depth, or see if there's something we could set up for them to come in. So yeah, that's probably what my recommendation would be.
Okay. Now, Curtis, do you know of any associations in manufacturing that like would be a great resource for kids to like Google and maybe watch some videos, things like that? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
There are, if you have a desire, there's a Society of Manufacturing Engineers that focus, if you're wanting to, focusing on, they will provide some scholarships to assist you with your graduating high school students that are individuals who are going into the engineering profession. And then another local one, there's a couple actual local ones actually. One is the Kansas City Manufacturing Network, and those meet monthly. And we've had a couple of virtual tours with clients the last couple of weeks just because of the current conditions. And the other one is the Kansas City Industrial Council, work with, again, organizations in different parts of the city. And those organizations try to assist manufacturers and a variety of issues that they have. And in the last year, there are different issues than previously because of the pandemic. But also there's, again, HR issues, quality issues, production issues, because as both Azani and Daniel mentioned, that it's a fast-paced environment and things have to get out, not just get out, but they have to get out correctly and on time. So those are the types of organizations that can assist, and you can learn a great deal from.
Great. All right. Well, we're about 10 minutes out, so we're going to go with my fun question. Get a little more lighthearted, if you will. So, what do you wish you knew as a high school student that you know now? So what's your best advice now that you are a little seasoned, a little older, you're in the industry, you're working. What kind of advice would you give high school students? Not necessarily about manufacturing, but just in general. Anyone?
I got a couple things. I kind of wrote down a couple bullet points. Like I said, one of the things I said is just find a company with a good work environment. You know, if you tour a place and it seems negative, it probably is. Like I said, you're going to be spending the majority of your time wherever you work. You know, you're going to be spending most of your time with those people. So you can't get along with them, I would look somewhere else. Looking at benefits. I know most high schoolers only look at what they're getting paid, but if you can find a company with a good 401k or retirement plan and put into that starting early, that money compounds and you could easily be a millionaire by the time you retire, even if you don't make a huge salary, if you just budget right and save your money. And another thing I think a lot of people don't look at is how close their job is to their work. One of the main reasons I actually work at Billy Goat, I found it 11 years ago. I happened to just drive by it. It's 3 miles from my house. I was looking for a new job. I was working nights. I didn't like working nights. They had a hiring sign out. I'm like, this is close to my house. Like I said, I can be to work in 5 minutes. I mean, your time is valuable to you, even if you're not making money. Your time at home is still valuable. I mean, do you want to spend 2-3 hours driving every day just to make a couple extra dollars, or do you want to spend your time at home? And just budgeting your money, knowing how to just live within your means. I know a lot of my friends, when they graduated college, they got that first big paycheck. They went out and bought a house, bought a car, and they bought too much and then ended up, you know, in debt. And they've been paying off debt for 20 years. You know, that's my biggest advice is just, you know, learn how to budget and actually make a budget and stick to it, because it'll help you out way down the road more than you ever know.
Those are great pieces of advice. I especially love the one, you know, that you just work close to home, because I think that was a big takeaway. That was a lesson for me to learn years ago in trying to find a job. I mean, I drove to KCK for 10 years from Lee Summit, and I look back now and I don't even want to add up how much time I wasted, right? It's kind of depressing. So I love that. Azani, what about you?
Yeah, okay, so a couple things come to mind. I agree with Daniel in money management. That is a huge thing. And if you can start young, you can really set yourself up for success in the long run. But a couple things that come to mind. So we are living in social media age, as we know, where there is so much pressure to get rich quick. And you see social media influencers and YouTubers who are like 25 and millionaires. And so I want to remind you that that is a very, very small percentage of the population who are able to do that. And kudos to those who can. But remember that for a majority of people, you do have to put in the time and the work and the energy and the sacrifice in order to attain your definition of success. So don't be discouraged or intimidated or feel pressure if you are not living up to expectations of people around you. I also know I did go to college, and for me, it has been very fruitful, and I did not have to go into debt for that, but that's not everyone's story. So I know that also when you're ending high school, there's also a lot of pressure to go to school and get a degree. Really think about the implications of that and what you will be investing and putting in your time, your energy, your money, and make sure you know what you want to do before you make any big investments in your life. So really count the cost and decide if that's what you want to do so that you know what you're getting into. Because there's a ton of people who have invested, not just in college, but in a lot of things, who simply didn't do research. And it wasn't until after they put in the time, the energy, and the money that they realize how much it's going to cost them. So don't feel pressure to make a decision or take a step in your career or in your money or anything else if you do not feel that you are ready. you have the right to do what's best for you. And there is not, you are in the best place right now as a high schooler. So take your time, figure out what you want to do. If you need to take a couple years to try and work entry level at a couple companies to see what works for you, that's okay. That's good. And then you can figure out what you like to do. So I know there's just so much pressure in society and we feel like we have to get rich quick. And so we may not make the best decisions with that pressure, but you guys are in a great place. So, don't feel any pressure, live your life and do what's best for you.
Great.
One thing I'd like to add, on the social media side, thankfully, I didn't have to grow up with it. Like I said, the pressure social media puts on you is insane. And just be careful with what you post because it can come back to haunt you. One of the probably best rules to live by in social media is like, would you want your mom to see this? Because some of the bigger companies, they do search your social media accounts and we'll look at what you post. And that could be the deciding factor if you get hired or not when you're, looking for a job.
That's a great point.
One other thing, not to talk too much, but I want to reiterate this. I spoke on it earlier about character and work ethic. I really think that as when you're younger, that is the best time to really focus on your work ethic and your character. So think about who you want to be and what you want to be known for, and then start behaving that way. So, if you want to be known as someone who, is a good person with a good heart and who is reliable, then start behaving that way. Really focus on your character and your insides, and then the outside, the external will take care of itself, I think. So that's my other piece of advice.
All right, Curtis, you've got the floor.
Oh, I really liked the two things that both the Daniel and Azani mentioned, but the first one, once you find the company you're working with, once you're 401k eligible, maximize your 401k contributions, because right now you have time on your hands, because 67 may seem like a long time, and that's the advantage that you have, because when you have those matching contributions from a company, that in essence is free money, and so you use that to and as Daniel mentioned, you can have significant retirement funds when you retire, and with that, find something that you like, because if you just do something for the money, the paycheck every 2 weeks will become, that's it, that's all I get. You want something that's enjoyable, and that way work won't be work. It's something that you enjoy going to every day, and find that profession. And as Zani mentioned, use this time to find out what you like. And if you're working a summer job, and if you find out that's not something you want to do, that's great, because you learn from that opportunity and you find out, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. But if you find something that you like and you're gravitating to it, fantastic. But then you move that forward. But to keep with that, continuously learn. Just because you finished your grade 12 and decided not to go to university or some form of post-secondary institution, be willing to continuously learn, because everything evolves and you need to become more adept in a changing world environment. So be willing to learn, be willing to move forward, and because that's the way you can grow within an organization and continually to show that you are responsible and want self-improvement.
Great. I think that's great. Well, does anybody have anything else to add? I think this was a really great panel. I think we gave them a lot of information. I can't think of anything else that maybe we haven't hit as far as the industry itself, and whether or not you can get in as an entry-level worker or go to school. Yeah, I think we've hit it all. And I very much appreciate all of you panelists, Daniel, Curtis, and Azani, for helping give us this, the students, this outlook on what the manufacturing industry is really all about. And as we move forward with the district and doing more of these things, I'll be sure to reach out and see what we can do together. Maybe we can do some of those tours and, really get kids exposed to the businesses around here. So, all right. Thanks so much, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you for inviting us.
You bet. Thank you.